Let's talk about editing for a little bit. So this is the Cozy Mystery. It is not done yet. And I wanted to show you kind of how I approach editing. And this is after, we talk about what's your feedback on the chapter, where things are, the pacing, the characterization, things like that. This is post that because I handle all of that either as I'm writing, which I've been showing you with these, or as, at the very end as an overall type of thing, where's the book the weakest, those kind of things. You can do either. I like actually doing both because then you get the, what's wrong with this chapter, but then at the end you get the, okay, what's wrong with the book. So what I do when I'm doing my edits is I put everything in bold. That way I know where things are. When you pull it from Claude, it's going to have little pound signs. I need to see if in Cozy Mysteries the chapters are titled like that. If they are, that's fine. And then all I do is when I'm done editing something, I'm just going to unbold it. So let's take a look at this paragraph. The student center of the museum's main gallery, hands on our hips, serving. Right, I'm okay with that. I don't see this book needing more than probably light edits. I'm looking for things like obvious repetition, major AI-isms that just really annoy me. Like, let's see here if we have... How many times is her spine mentioned? So there's one chill ran down her spine. There's a second one. There's a third one. Spine stiffen. It's still close enough that I'm gonna get rid of that. That one can stay because it's talking about books. That one can stay. That's another chill running down her spine. So we've got a bunch of them, and it's only 31,000 in. That's not going to work for me. So that's definitely something that I'm getting rid of. And that's actually why one of them is flagged as being bolded. So that's something that I'm definitely taking out. But let's just spend a few minutes and you can kind of see how I line edit. Now this is going to be tedious. I don't love doing edits, but if you want to produce something that's polished, that will, do well. I mean, well-edited books, in my experience, do better with readers than poorly edited books. I know that when I go and read reviews, if it talks about the editing more often than the plot or the characters, I'm probably not going to jump into it. I can handle a book that's amazing that has some typos and some issues like that, but I can't handle a book that throws me out with every single page with typos or where the characters change their names. I've read those books and it drives me nuts where, Adam is now Adrian or something like that, where it's close enough that you can tell that the author kind of knew, but not really. Like, if you're paying attention, you're not going to have those issues. Thankfully, the AI helps with things like typos. The AI is going to not give you terrible typos. It will give you grammar issues. It will change the name of characters at times. Or it will give you the exact same name repeatedly. Like Chen is a pretty common name that the AI gives, and it drives me nuts. But that's something that you need to be aware of. I had a book that I just finished that was 170K, and, the best friend, his last name is Chen, and then it tried to make a teacher Chen, and a couple other people, and I'm like, no, they're not all related. They're not all having the last name. We're not doing that. So let's get back to the Cozy Mystery. It's fine. Alright, that's fine. I'm going to pull these together because I don't like spaces between my paragraphs in the final product. Alright, so this is a personal preference. I was taught when I was with publishers that towards is UK, toward is US. So personal preference of toward for me. That's another thing that I look out for. Let's do a quick towards. Okay, that's the only one. Good. Okay. Would Jasmine call her Miss Sinclair? Let's highlight that and come back to it. Actually, let's talk to the AI. Projects. No, I don't need to go to projects. Just need to go to this one. We actually switched this to haiku because this is just brainstorming, going back and forth, and I don't really need to spend sonnet messages. Excuse me. Still getting over COVID on this, so let's see here. Would Jasmine call Evie Miss Sinclair? Blah, blah, blah. I'll come back to this. That's why I like having Claude open too. Okay. Just so that you can go back and forth on things. Like, say you wanted to have this chapter redone. Or let's see. Is this a good opening paragraph, or could it be better? Okay. Cool. So we'll leave it alone. Leave this alone. Unless it happens again. But yeah, we can leave that. 22. That's fine. It's cute. Okay. There's actually not too much wrong with this. The AI gives a pretty clean copy overall, and remember, Sonnet wrote all the prose. So really what I'm doing is just going back, cleaning it up, looking for AI-isms like the spine tingling that I can't stand, or the couldn't help but. I hate those. I will leave one spine tingling per book. So in a 60K, you'll get one. If that. It's such a thing that throws me out. So I don't love them, but I mean, it is a cozy mystery. So if there's a spine tingling moment, then there's a spine tingling moment, but there's not going to be 7 of them. Accidentally deleted that. Good. Alright. So as you can see, it takes a little while just because I read every single line. And it's nice just to have this open just in case we need some feedback. Hey, this is cute. Let me get rid of this. I feel like we've mentioned the town a little too often. Actually, let's look at that. Yeah, 39 times is a lot. I'm going to highlight it so that I know to look back at it. So that's just, it's a little too much, but that's okay. We can come to that. I'm only going to show you guys a couple more minutes just because, I mean, it's tedious. Honestly, it is. Most of the time that I spend actually working on books is editing. And it's also hard to focus for long periods of time on editing. Like, I want to be like, oh, look, let's go work at Dreamlab. Let's go do all this other stuff. Let's tell Claude that we want to write a new book. But I have folders and folders in Google Docs of books that have not yet been edited. So, and that's something that I definitely want to work harder on next year, is getting all that backlog done. And it's literally just going line by line, because most of it is AI written prose. So the prose itself is clean and it's prompted well because, I know what I like and I don't let it go off course. Like as you saw in the last video for this one, I think it was the part 10, where it just decided to add in like a cosmic horror type of element, and this is a cozy mystery and we're not doing that. So I definitely am on top of the AI when it comes to that, but it's still line editing, and line editing takes forever. If you have somebody in your life who loves to line edit, congratulations, I'm jealous. If you want to pay somebody to line edit, that's great, go for it. You know, whatever works for you. I like to be hands-on on my books, but this part, honestly, is tedious. And that's kind of what I wanted to show you, that yes, you can, use prompts to tell you the beta feedback. You can ask, like I did here, is this a strong chapter? How would you improve this? What's wrong with this book? I asked for strengths and weaknesses, but at the same time, it comes down to line editing at the very end. Anytime that it's a text or something written, I like to have it in italics. That's personal preference. Actually, but she's reading aloud. So let's do both. So it's a text that she's reading. So it's going to have quotes around it, and it's going to be in italics. That works. Unbold that so that I know that this is how far we are. So in about 15 minutes, of course, I was talking, and maybe you could get that done faster. You could probably get this done faster. It's not to say that every single, 2 pages is going to take you 10 minutes, because it won't. But I just wanted to show you that having a reasonable expectation of how long editing honestly takes, if you do line edits like I am right now, where you're like, okay, look at every single one and see if you want to keep it, see if it actually belongs in the book. It takes a little while. And honestly, most of the process, is going to be edits. And this is how I edit. This is post, what's the weaknesses of the book, how this comes together. Of course, this book is not done, but, this is important. And that's why I wanted to show it to you guys. The other thing that you can do, which I also do, and I like doing, is because I use Cloud Projects, and, eventually you run out of messages, and then you have to pause for a couple hours. Sometimes I'll do editing in that time, which is really nice and helpful because it gives my brain a break, and then we switch gears. The other thing that I do when I'm not being good in editing like I'm supposed to is I'll jump into Open Router's chat room like I have here and, get a new book, which then needs edits. Literally, I have so many books that are just sitting there waiting for edits. And then there's some weeks when I'm just like, okay, we really need to work on this backlog, and we really need to edit these books so that they get out on time. But I wanted to give you all kind of a peek into line editing. And yes, it's tedious, and yes, it's kind of boring, but throw on a show, throw on some music, and enjoy the process, because this is part of writing. So thank you all for being here, and I'll see you all soon.